All right, so sorry, I'm trying to get my audio because I need to play something with sound, so give me 1 second. Okay, so everyone should be able to see the PowerPoint again, and we're going to get started from there. If anyone has any questions, please, again, like I said, hold those till the end, and I'll respond to some people's questions at the end. So this is our coaching staff this year. If you didn't know, again, my name is Jason Bada. I'm the head varsity boys coach here at Geneva High School. We have some new faces in the program this year, so we'll go through those. But my assistant is Dan Miller. He is currently serving as a long-term sub for Coach Forney, previously known as Coach Baker, who had a child this past spring. So Coach Miller is at the high school with us in the PE department, and he's with me this year at the varsity level. Coach Semick, who is a librarian at Mill Creek, is our JV coach because Coach Forney is out on maternity leave, so she's not our JV coach this year, so Coach Semick has stepped up a level. Coach Julia Callahan is also with us at the high school, and she's taking our JV2 program. Coach Ryan Estabrook is coming out of retirement, and he is back in the program. We're glad to have him as our freshman coach. And then we also have a goalkeeper coach who is on a volunteer basis. He's Jay Bodie. He graduated a couple years back, and he's been great volunteering his time to work with all our goalies exclusively. So it's good to have him around, in and around the program as well. Here's all the contact information. You can always reach out to any of the level coaches. If you have a question, we're going to the communication part with your athletes and the boys that are on the team. And then also there you can see our two athletic trainers who partner with the high school, Mark Martier and Sarah Constantino. So they're around, and if your boys have any problems, reoccurring injuries, or they get injured the first time, they're the ones who are going to be working with us and them, making sure they're healthy, because it's a crammed season and we need to try to keep the players as fresh as possible. I wanted to start by talking about the Booster Club, and we actually have a little narration by Kim Perry talking about the Booster Club. So hopefully this works when we try to get this narration going. But the Booster program has been growing, and we're always looking for people to help join and support the Booster program. As you can see there, the different list of items that all your donations will provide this year for all programs across the board. But boys soccer has definitely benefited from that, between jerseys, brand new soccer goals out on Burgess Field, various equipment, and all the kind of gear and equipment that we need. The boosters have been a great supporter of boys soccer. So we always want to push that and get as many people to join as possible, because that comes right back to the athletes and ensuring that we have what we need to do what we need to do. So here's a message from Kim Perry, and hopefully this works.
Hi, my name is Kim Perry. I'm the treasurer for the Geneva Sports Boosters organization. And I just wanted to take a couple minutes to talk about our organization, how we help the student athletes, and how we could really use your help this year. We're an extension of the high school athletic program, supporting our student athletes by providing equipment and other items that are really outside of the high school athletic funding. The sports fee that you pay goes to cover costs such as refs and transportation, but not necessarily equipment and uniforms and other items that the kids need. So the individual teams do their own fundraising, and then we donate items as well to help bridge that gap. So you can read this list. These are items that we are funding just this year alone, so everything to the tune of about $47,000 will give back to the student athletes, covering really many boys, girls, many different sports teams. One of the things we're most really excited about is the NFHS subscription. So we paid for the school to have a school subscription that will allow you as a viewer to set up a free NFHS account and watch any broadcast home events from either the contest gym or Burgess Field. So typically this is something that would cost everybody $10 a month to pay for that subscription. We really wanted to make that available to everybody so that with limited capacity allowed at events, anybody who wants to watch our kids play has the opportunity to do so. So we're pretty excited about that. We also paid for indoor space for some of these teams that are starting when there was still snow on the ground. We've been able to pay for that and allow these guys to get going when fields are still unplayable.
This continues. Sorry, we went to the new page and her recording continues.
So now's the part where we could really use your help. We have been limited in the fundraising opportunities we're able to do this year. Obviously, there's no concessions, that's one of our biggest fundraisers. So we're really relying on just these 4 items. Our membership drive, please, if you're able to join as a member, we are way down this year. I know many people didn't know sports were even going to happen. But if you're able to, please go visit our website and you can look at our membership opportunities. It's genevasportsboosters.com and join if you're able to. We are, of course, selling spirit wear. It's available at Ace Hardware, as always. We also, one thing that is new this year is a community checkbook. And if you haven't seen them, they're pretty cool. For $30, you get what is like a checkbook of over $400 of value. And these work just like checks, so it's not $10 off of 30. It is literally, and I'm just looking at one right now, Altiero, it's a $10 check. So some of our local restaurants have been so generous as they're struggling this year to still donate and be a part of this opportunity for us. So please check that out. They're available at Ace Hardware as well. And then we just started making the Viking yard signs. So we have limited quantities available. So there'll be some more information coming on how you can purchase your Viking head yard sign and your sports circle that goes with that. So please, if you're able to help us out, we would love it. And everybody have a great season. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks to Kim Perry. Again, we'd love for you guys to get involved in boosters and know that all that hard work and the donations and things come right back to us. We see a lot of that here at the boys soccer program. Some ways that you can follow us this year are through our social media accounts. And if you're not following us already, it's always helpful because not only do we put out game results and things like that, but other important information is shared through our social media. There you can find the Geneva Athletics Twitter account, the GHS Athletics. We also have the Geneva 8-18. You can find all our schedules and things on there through the boys soccer site on Geneva 8-18. There's our boys soccer Twitter handle at Geneva Soccer or at Geneva_soccer, as well as our Facebook. I post to both of those regularly with little updates or things like that you may need to know. You can also go to our boys soccer website. Our website has an announcements page on the front side or on the very first homepage when you come in that I post various announcements to. And then there's also just some other aspects of that. There's you can check all our social media on the website. There's record books. There's a little place to learn more about our coaches. So things like that, you can definitely check out the website to help you. And then our high school itself, Geneva High School, has a Twitter account as well as the Sports Booster. So it'd be great if you followed all of those things to stay updated and stay connected, and that'll help you stay in the know with any important information that you may need. This is our mission statement. Our program philosophy is that we seek to foster the physical, mental, and emotional growth of soccer players through a commitment to a disciplined, specialized, and a student-athlete-centered training environment. So sports are a great way, one of the best ways to grow as a person and to teach important life lessons and life skills at a relatively low consequential impact to the kids. So we seek to foster that, and that's kind of our main goal is to grow young men and build them up through sports. How we do this is our vision, We have meticulous planning and guidance. We take responsibility for our success in multiple areas as student athletes and as coaches in the program. In the classroom, students take pride in excelling at being student athletes. On the field, we take pride in playing a high-tempo game of ball movement and defensive pressing. We will control the flow of the game, our opponents, and with that, the result. In life, we take pride in being young men of integrity, and that's what we're looking to grow in this program. So what does that look like in our values? We have team first values. That's our team first mindset. All our actions, whether on or off the field, reflect the belief that our team, our school, and our community always come first. And we will do what's best for the program. We'll do what's best for our team and what's best for our school. All our actions on and off the field reflect the team, the high school, and the community. We're representatives of our community and of the high school. So wherever we are, whether we're in a school-sponsored event, whether we're on the road, or whether you're just out in town, if you're wearing Geneva things and people know you're on the team, that reflects on all of us, not just on you and your friends or things like that. And the boys continue to grow to understand that. By putting the team first, you will show respect by being on time for all our functions on and off the field. And by putting the team first, there's no whining, complaining, or excuses. There's an understanding that we have all chosen to commit to do what is best for the program in order for us to grow. So the goals, these are the number one goals: player development. At all levels, player development is the utmost importance. Decisions that are made in terms of team placement, what we do during training, these things are all geared towards developing the student athletes as much as possible. We only see them for 2-3 months out of the year, and then many of you go and play club or other sports, and we're trying to fit into that development of you as athletes as best as we can. In order to do this, as a coaching staff, we've put together a program curriculum for each level that delves into specific topics of how we want to play as a program and how we want to play the game, what skills we want to develop, what techniques we want to develop, things like that. And the coaches use that to help guide them throughout the season. So there's a goal in mind. It's not random training events that occur or training sessions that occur. There's goals in mind to each session, and there's a broader overview of what players are learning at each level. So as they progress through the program, they're hitting these types of benchmarks in terms of their development, and we can help track that. And then obviously we want to have off-field growth. So not just growth as an athlete, but growth as young men as they kind of navigate these formative years through high school. We want to help aid in that process. And we obviously want to make it a memorable experience. Playing high school sports is special. Playing with the guys that you don't normally get to play with in club or other sports is special. Representing your school is special, and we want to create that to be a memorable experience for them as they play, hopefully, all 4 years with us. Training is the most important factor for our team, our program to be successful, and it's oftentimes the best indicator for playing time. Oftentimes, boys want to know what they can do to see the field more. One nice thing this year is that, it's good and bad. Numbers are down this year. We've seen numbers down across all sports because of, obviously, the pandemic. And that's limited the amount of players that we've been able to put on each team and being able to field as many teams as possible. So hopefully boys are getting a lot of playing time this year because there's just not as many kids on each team, which gives more opportunities to everyone. But it's vital for your son to be at all training sessions, to be engaged, and natural consequences will play out with any absences. So like I say there, if your son has to miss training or games, this gives other players and other opportunities to those players to show that they deserve to be playing. So that's kind of how we think about it. If they miss a game or if they miss practice, then other people get opportunities to show that they deserve to play. And if they take those opportunities, then your son may have to come back in when they get that opportunity because maybe someone else missed or they've been playing well to deserve that opportunity. It's not always the case that they've done something wrong if they're playing. It's not like we go out and actively try to punish them, but it's more often the case that someone else on the team has taken that opportunity and they're playing better at that moment. And some players have to wait their chance and wait their turn to get that new opportunity to show that they're ready to play and maybe take back that spot. Obviously, soccer is important and the season is important, but there are other aspects of life that are far more important. If an issue arises with family emergencies or acceptable school issues. Studying for tests is an important issue, and that is something that we take in mind, but that's part of being a student athlete, is juggling time management. So it's not necessarily a totally acceptable reason for missing something is having an overload of schoolwork or something like that, because that is part of being a student athlete, and we do expect kids to be able to understand the time management piece of that. And while this year is difficult, there's going to be exceptions to that because of the situation that we're in terms of what school is looking like for a variety of kids. But issues like that will be viewed differently within our philosophy of training and playing time. And one thing that I wanted to reiterate that we talked about at tryouts and things like that, and meetings leading up to tryouts, was that we will be having training and games during spring break. I know some people have plans, and no one really knew if we were going to have a season, but with that, there are games scheduled throughout spring break and practices throughout to try to get the season that we need to have in. So again, if you have questions for that, I would encourage you to talk to individual level coaches about what things are going to be missed, and you can always have those conversations with the coach at your son's level. Communication is key, and really how we think about it is that our goal for communication is for your son to take complete responsibility for the communication of his soccer career at the high school. If they have to miss school, or if they have to miss for a reason, we really prefer, and we would really like for them to be the one messaging and taking that responsibility to be on top of their schedule, and them communicating with the coach. We try to have an open line of communication between players and coaches. If they have questions about playing time, if they have concerns about soccer, life, school, things like that, they always should know that any of our staff is willing to have conversations with them, and that we're always open to having those conversations. So we do ask, if there's any questions about any of that things, that your sons come to us first. Instead of you sending an email, oftentimes we hear things like, well, little Johnny doesn't know that I'm emailing you, so on and so forth. But we would really prefer that your son comes and has that conversation with us, because that keeps an open line of communication, and it keeps that honesty open that we strive to have with your boys, and helps them grow and mature as a person to take on that responsibility to advocate for themselves, and to really take a hold of what they want to get out of it, what they want to get out of their soccer career, and what they want to get out of this experience. The boys will be getting a player conduct kind of handout that's much longer than this, but the player conduct focuses on 4 ideas: that we respect our program, we respect everyone involved with our program, coaches, players, how that manifests itself on the field, within training, all of that things. They respect our program. We respect officials and anyone who has authority on the field in terms of their decisions that are made and things like that. We respect them, and we set a good example to show that we do respect them. We respect our resources. Piggybacking on the idea from the sports boosters, we are blessed with a lot of resources for the boys soccer program. Every level has a lot of equipment and gear, jerseys, backpacks, raincoats, warm-ups, all of that kind of stuff. And we ask the boys to respect those things. We're lucky enough to have those, and they're lucky enough to be using them for the time that they're in the program, and we want to be able to pass those things on to future players. So obviously the most personal thing for them is their jerseys and their backpacks and things like that, but that also extends to our soccer balls, our cones, our pennies, and all of those things. We should be looking after them, keeping nice care of them so that they can last. And then we respect our school and our community, and we represent Geneva High School and Geneva as a community well at all times. Game day expectations. Like it says there, youth soccer should not be viewed in the context of professional sports. For higher level sports teams, winnings and results are the objective. For us, teaching a competitive mindset is important, and that raises the level of teams, and we want to teach that competitive mindset, wanting to win. But really, the central goal of youth sports is the development and fostering a love for the game. We want to create lifelong people who love soccer, who want to play in under over 30 leagues and over 40 leagues and things like that, and watching the game. And we want to develop them as athletes and not just worry about winning. Both components are easily lost in a results-focused environment where all we're doing is worrying about winning, especially at the freshman, JV, and JV2 levels. Those levels are primarily meant to help develop the boys and work on the skills that we're working on throughout each of our training sessions and what those themes are for each week. Unlike many other sports, soccer is not a coach-based sport. Once players enter the game, we have very little control over them. We can try to implement and teach things during practice, but while they're in the game, we really have very little control over their actions. So the players are responsible for the decisions that they have to make. And in order for them to do that well, they need to take a lot of responsibility onto themselves. So games are natural opportunities to show what they've learned. I kind of think about it like a test, right? Throughout the school week, you're doing lessons, you're learning, and then come test time, it's time to show what you've learned. And that's the same thing with games. Although we have games much more frequently, 3 times a week, most weeks this year, those are opportunities to show that you're learning and you're understanding what's been working on in training, and that's actually playing out within the game. Players who are overcoached, who are never taught to think for themselves and to make the correct decisions on the field for themselves, become robots. Player communication during games is far more important than communication from the sidelines, and really that's both sidelines. That's from the coach's sideline, and that's from the bleachers and the parents' sideline. Players need to be able to think through and develop those thinking skills as they play the game. And it's really not helpful for the coaching staff to be joysticking kids, to be telling them every decision that they should do. And the same thing goes for the parents on the other side, to be doing that as well. So there's coaches' expectations. Towards the players, the communication should be thoughtful. Towards the officials, the coaching staff you'll see is respectful, and they don't challenge the officials on things. The parents, coaches have an open line of communication between coaches, players, and parents, and the coaches have a respect for the opposition, which will always help support playing in a healthy environment. Players have expectations. They respect their coaches and respect the decisions from the coaches. They respect their teammates and support each other, no matter what the outcome is. Players respect the officials. They shouldn't question or try to influence the officials. They respect their opposition and show good sportsmanship. And they respect their parents. Players shouldn't always be looking towards the parents for guidance and instructions during the game. They should focus on what they're doing and their individual performance. And also, they need to keep an open line of communication between them and their parents. They should inform them of any information that's relayed from the coach during the game. They should relay what's being talked about. If you have questions about maybe why your son's not playing, your son should be able to answer that from the feedback given from coaches. They need to take control and ownership of their career. The more they become invested in their success and find intrinsic value in their development, the better. And then parent expectations during games. Parents and coaches, we need to be on the same page in terms of what your individual son and their development and their goals are. Those will be discussed between coaches and players, and that should be involved, or you guys should be involved in that process and understand and communicate what's being done. But we do ask that you please avoid coaching from the sidelines. Players are always more in tuned and they're more connected to hear your voice and stand and hear your voice more than other people's voices, just based on you being their parents. And they really do need to be able to develop to think for themselves. Avoid determining success and failure in terms of winning and losing games. Again, the goal for those freshmen, JV, JV2, and even the varsity level, the goal is to develop players and develop young men as much as we can. So just defining success on winning or losing isn't helpful in that regard. And then please, we ask that you respect the officials as well. Bad calls are inevitably going to be made, but please respect them and be good role models in terms of what your boys see and what other teams are seeing and things like that. Away games, I'm about to get into a part of the presentation where there's a lot of information about kind of COVID protocols and what's going to be going on during game days. On away games, there are no Geneva High School spectators allowed. We can't have any fans, and just like other schools can't have any fans when they come travel to us. So there's no allowed entry into schools where Geneva is the away team. Most teams will have streaming services. That's why it's awesome that the Boosters was able to provide NFHS subscriptions so that live streaming is available, and you'll be able to watch a lot of those away games by using that service. Wheaton, Warrenville South, St. Charles North, Glenbard North, Lake Park, Wheaton North, St. Charles East, Batavia, or those are the ones using NFHS. St. Charles East and Batavia are using a YouTube live channel, so they'll be streaming games as well. So there are opportunities for you not to miss out on those away games, but you are not allowed to be in the bleachers or anything like that at the away games. And then because we're trying to build a tight-knit team and program, travel time can be a great time for teammates to bond and be with the kids on the bus. There's a lot of memories that are made there. So it is the expectation that your athletes are traveling to and from games on the bus with the team. Obviously, life happens and there's different circumstances where that may not always be the case, but we do ask that you communicate a couple days in advance to say that you're going to be picking up or driving your son to the game. And those are supposed to be special circumstances, not just that it's more convenient, because we do ask that they travel to the games with the program. So here's some protocols and policies. Geneva is allowing 50 spectators for soccer games while we're in phase 4. So outside on the bleachers in the stadium, we are allowed 50 fans in the field or in the stadium. You must sit on the opposite side, so that's the main stand, because we'll be on the other side of the track near the away bleachers. And there's specific locations taped on the bleachers where we ask you to sit so that we can enforce the COVID policies of social distancing and things like that. All games that are played on Burgess will be live streamed. So if you can't make it or you don't feel comfortable with coming to the stadium, you can watch our games as well from at your house or on your phone or anything like that, where you have the NFHS app. When you arrive, everyone must wear masks, and there's a process. I'll be putting together a video to show you what the process looks like that I'll be sending out in terms of when you arrive at the stadium and what that's going to look like. But one of the things is everyone must wear masks while you're in the stadium, and you adhere to social distancing. Obviously, family members may sit together and don't have to be 6 feet apart. Like what there was discussed in the boosters video, there's no concessions and food and drinks won't be allowed. So we ask you not to bring food or drinks to the events. All spectators must complete a COVID-19 symptom screening form. There's a little QR code that'll be posted when you come to the main entrance of Burgess that you'll fill out before you arrive. Each athlete will be given 2 tickets during phase 4 for each soccer game. So each athlete will get 2 tickets for family members to come. And I'll explain that ticket process as well. Spectators must complete, that's the same one, a symptom form for every entry that you come in, so for every game. Children must be seated in the stands at all times, and you're not going to be on the field. You can't come down on the field. That doesn't happen in soccer too much anyway. The last part of this is that spectators should not arrive more than 20 minutes prior to the start of the game. So if there's a 5 o'clock start for game time, then spectators will not be admitted until 4 o'clock. If a contest runs over, for our conference, that's not a thing. We don't have overtime or anything like that. But we do ask that you wait for the conclusion of that prior game to join and come in for that new time. There's X's on the bleachers where each parent or guardian or family member should sit. Again, please, all spectators adhere to those distancing guidelines, and bleachers will be marked in pairs. There are no exceptions to be made. Again, the reason for this is that we want to have a season. We want to have a safe season and a continued season, and it only takes a couple events or one event, one person getting sick, where it could knock out a bunch of people in terms of what that quarantine process looks like. At the conclusion of each game, you must exit the stadium immediately after the game ends. A family cannot attend a different level game without a ticket, so you can't, if you were at the JV game, you can't stay and not leave and then try to stay for the varsity game because that's going to be taking away from the people who are coming in for that next game. And if you need to wait for your son and daughter, we do ask you that you please wait in your vehicles after the conclusion of the game, and your son and daughter, or your son will come out and be ready to go from that game. This is the NFHS information. One thing that I wanted to say for the COVID policies, like, we can't stress enough that if you have a pending test at home, or if there's any symptoms or your son is feeling sick at all, we do ask that they stay home. Because they could knock out a whole level, especially with some of our smaller number teams this year. It's crucial that we don't have any kids having to be quarantined because they were in close contact. We are an outside sport, which helps that process, being able to be outside, but still, we can't stress enough to ask you that if there's any doubt, that you err on the side of not coming or not sending your son, because that could have massive ramifications on the whole program, as well as obviously big ramifications on that level that they're on. This is more information on that NFHS. I'm not going to go through that again because that's there for you from the Booster Club. This is how our tickets are going to work. So each player will have the opportunity to reserve 2 tickets for each home game. You will, if you want a ticket, you will need to reserve that ticket using a Google form that will be sent out. You're only going to be allowed to attend your son's game, so no JV parents will be allowed to stay for the varsity game unless you have more tickets for the varsity game, or vice versa. A Google form will be sent prior to each home game, and we ask you that you complete that form by the deadline so that we can get those tickets ready and out to you so that you're ready to bring those. In that Google form, there's a selection for how many tickets you need for the upcoming game, 2 max. If you don't need as many, or if you need more tickets, please indicate how many extra tickets you would need, and then we can try to provide those on an individual basis based on how many extra tickets we had for that game. So there is a little process here that really no one's used to, having to have tickets and things like that to come to the games, but we do ask that you help us in that process of getting those requests in a timely manner so that we can be ready and prepared to allow you guys to come in and watch the games. The last thing is your athletic and soccer fee. So each player, there's a $140 athletic participation fee that's paid online through the GHS web store. That's just the participation fee that goes to the school. And then on top of that, we do have a soccer fee. If you saw, your boys came home with a lot of stuff probably in the past couple days, and 2 of those, well, a chunk of that, all their training gear is stuff that they can keep. So we asked varsity level is $150. The lower levels are $80. And that includes 2 pairs of training shirts, 2 pairs of training shorts, 2 pairs of training socks, and then 2 game socks. All of those things will be paid. You can give your coach, your level coach, a cash or a check. If you're going to write a check, please make it out to Geneva Boys Soccer. And usually we have a fundraising effort. We sell popcorn, and through that fundraising effort, we're able to have kids pay off their soccer fee through their success that they've had. If they sell enough popcorn, then that fundraising money comes right back into your guys' pocket. So unfortunately, this year, we're not having fundraising for obvious reasons with COVID. We don't want kids going door to door. And because of that, we are asking if you're willing and able to participate in a Vikings Helping Vikings initiative. We're asking families to consider donating to this initiative any amount over the soccer fee amount. So if you have $80 and you're willing to give $100 or more, any amount over the initial soccer fee to help out any families in need that may need assistance paying off that soccer fee. We are asking you to kind of take a community approach to this year because we don't have any fundraising opportunities. So like I said, if you're willing and you can add any amount on top of your fee, that would be appreciated. And if you are a family who could benefit from this, you can speak privately with me or with Dave Carley, our athletic director, and we can discuss that boys soccer fee and what can be done to help cover the cost of that. And hopefully we can build a fund here to help any family in need if you're in a position that is able to help out. Again, there's no pressure on that. We're just asking that if you are able to, that you would think about maybe donating an extra amount on top of that to help anyone who is in need of that. That's all I have right now. Let's have a successful season. I know that not many of us thought that this was going to be occurring just a couple months ago, but it's awesome that we can be back out there and that the weather's this great, and things have gone smoothly to start the year, and we're looking forward to having a great year this year. I'm going to stop the recording at this point, and I can be on for a little bit for some question and answering. So let me stop the recording.